I was talking to the people.
What are you trying to say? I feel like you're trying to talk about me.
He heard me, you guys.
What's up? What it do?
Oh my God. Hey, you guys, welcome to On the Couch with the
The
Fun
Fun
Bees.
Bees.
And we're super excited. Want to do it that way? Yeah. Okay. We're super excited that you guys are here with us on today. So listen, like y'all already know, before we start getting into what we're going to discuss tonight, listen, we want to invite you guys to Prophetic Con 4.0, the Unchurched Conference. Baby, we're supposed to say it together. Ready?
Right.
1, 2, ready, go.
Prophetic Con 4.0, the Unchurched Conference. Woo!
Okay, so that sucked, but
Yep.
y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what we're talking about. So that's going to be held July 20th through the 22nd. So we're telling you guys to just invite everybody because this is pretty much a family affair. We're going to have something for the men. We're going to have something for the ladies. Like, the teens, like y'all want to bring everybody. So we've got it where you guys can register for free. And then we also have the VIP and general admission session, okay? So go to theunchurchedconference.com. All right? We love you guys. We're excited about tonight. All right?
Yes.
Woo! That sounds like a whole lot.
I mean, you do it so well, though.
Ooh, well,
you speak so well.
But I feel like I'm out of breath.
It's okay. You be out of breath. That's why we work out to enlarge your lung capacity.
Babe.
Oh, glory.
Oh, my God. You know what? I'm not even going to start with you tonight. I'm not going there with you.
Yes, God.
I'm not going there with you.
Hallelujah.
Wait a minute, you guys.
Invite somebody.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun one, man. We're going to talk about some really cool things. I think it's going to really be helpful and impactful. Just a lot of things we've learned. Look, let me tell you guys something. One thing that I think definitely helped our relationship was the fact that we had prior experience.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to have experience like us, for example.
Please
you don't have to have like failed previous marriages, but it is wise to draw from previous relationships.
Yeah. So tonight we're going to be discussing what are the ingredients for a healthy relationship. So, you guys, listen, let me tell you this. We're about to talk about this and
it's about to get real.
Okay, so we need your help as well. So both of you guys, I was going to say both of you guys. I was talking about YouTube and Instagram.
You talking about both? Oh, you talking about both of us?
No, I was just talking about both of them. Okay. But you guys know that we both have gone through a divorce. JD was married for 5 years before, and then I was married for 16 years.
Dang! I would say that's a long time that you have been married.
I've probably been married longer than you've been alive.
Now you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You've not been married longer than I've been alive. But yeah, we have been married before.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and just get started. All right. Okay. So you wanted to talk about the ingredients for a healthy relationship. Why do you feel like that's important to discuss?
Well, I think that it's important to discuss because it gives you sort of a template to always have a basis of a foundation to get back to. I'm ex-athlete, played sports and stuff all my life, and one of the things when your game was off, if you played basketball or if you was playing football and you was having trouble, they would always have a centered basis that you had to get back to. For basketball, it was like your form or your free throw. Football, depending on what position, it was a lot of times it's your footwork. Okay. So no matter what's going on in the game, whatever talent that you have that you bring, there is a basis that everybody has to have in order to just play a solid, good game or even to have playing time. You had to be good at the basics. Yeah. So I think that it's good to review the basics of a relationship because sometimes you can get so caught up in, a disagreement, or you can get caught up in being stuck and not understand that it's something as simple as, as a basketball analogy, it's just I need to get some free throws down and work on my form. Yeah. I'm up here trying to shoot threes. You're trying to do all this romance stuff, and it may be something small that she's missing. She don't know how to communicate, but if you have a basis, a foundation, you can kind of start there and grow from there. That makes sense.
So. We're live.
We're on live. You alive? She good?
we're live.
Yep. It was 7 guys. Yep. What? Wow. It was 1 second.
Huh?
Yes. So I think that's the basis of reason why you want to have a good foundation of a relationship. Because I know that I've been, you can get very emotional, especially when the person you feel like you love the most doesn't understand, or there's a lack of, understanding from one aspect. It's good to revisit, just what the basis of the relationship is.
Yeah, so I was about to say that the scripture said, what man build a house without calculating the cost, which means that in order to build that house, the foundation of any house, it has to do with the structure is like one of the most, or the foundation is the most important part of building a house. And so what you're saying is that as you're building a house in relationship, just making sure that the foundation of it is solid. And so I feel like there need to be morals or values that the relationship have. Like you have to be able to establish that. So how do you establish those morals and values when you have people who are coming from two different worlds? So I feel like you and I, at the time that we met, we had come from two different worlds. So how do you establish morals and values?
I think that the basics of it was, number one, you just want, like, without it being said, someone who has just a good moral person. We all
what
have.
Makes a person a good moral person? Because I may not have come from a background where morals and values are important. So what does that mean?
Well, identifying what it means to you. Like for me, I think, no, I don't think that. I think there's a level of just good morality across the board. You don't have to come from it.
Yeah.
But if you see a person, or if you have a heart that, is kind, or you can see how, I like to look at it and see how people treat other people. And from a level of, if you're always like getting attitude with people, you always want to go off with people, oh, they got the right one today, like, maybe you just have a lot of contentious sort of energy.
So does that mean that we lack moral and values because of that?
Well,
because what I'm trying to figure out is, how do you establish something that you have never had before? It's like coming into this relationship.
It's like good or bad though.
Okay, but it's like coming into this relationship, wanting something, never having it, but don't know like how to build it, don't know how to get there. A lot of times like people, they have this image in their mind, they have these thoughts in their mind as to how they want their relationship to go, but it seems like something always stands in the way to keep them from being able to establish it. So how do you establish something that you have never had before, or even seen demonstrated in your bloodline?
I think that's tough, for the simple fact that you have to like define who you want to be. And as you define that, I feel like that goes along with the morality. So if I want to make a difference in the lives of, young people, or if I want to, be a person that helps other young men, or help young women, that comes from a place of where I can identify, okay, in order to do that, what would I need? I need to have a heart that cares. So if I don't know it, I didn't come from a place where people cared a lot, then I'm gonna try to go find someone or join a program or something that would teach me about empathy or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think that people do that these days.
No,
but I do feel
but
I do feel that, if you, I do believe being around the right people will help to develop what you desire.
Facts.
So if you're around people who really put interest in their relationships, really love their spouse and really care for their spouse and take care of their spouse, I feel like you'll eventually start looking at your relationship the exact same, out of the same
something
lens.
to kind of like refer to, or kind of look at and be like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And then you can develop a set of morals by looking at how that person's treat that person, even if you didn't come from it.
That's right.
So that's what I feel like. But I also feel that, I don't know, I feel like there is a basis foundation of morality.
Yeah.
Like you can't say that, oh, I didn't come from it, so I'm just gonna be an evil person.
Well,
Like
some people
that
do.
don't work.
Some people do use the excuse. I didn't have a father in the household. You know, this happened to me. Like people do use the excuse of I don't even want to. I'm using excuse lightly, but people do say because they didn't have certain things growing up or they didn't have certain people in their life, it's the reason why they may lack the morality or lack being who they can be since they didn't have that example. So for example, they may say, since I didn't have a father in the household, they never had the example of being a husband or being a good father. Now, some people, they end up being a good husband and a good father because they didn't have it. But then you have a group of people, because they didn't have it, they end up being being, not being as good
Yeah, I can see
as
that.
they desire to be.
I can see that. I think then I also believe it comes back to a level of how a person interprets their level of morality, because what you can put up with someone may not be what someone else can put up with.
True.
So I don't think I see what you're saying when it says, well, maybe it's not a moral thing, it's just an example thing. So I can understand that, because that actually goes into one of my ingredients of a healthy relationship. All right, here's number one.
Okay. Oh,
right, I got a couple things. What?
My timing was out.
Oh Lord. So I think that the first thing I believe is the ingredient of a healthy relationship.
Okay. So
Number
and then
one.
you guys can put some
Hey, yeah, put
examples
some in the chat
on the screen.
and let me
Somebody
know.
said, one lady told me to make a list of the qualities I want in a man relationship. Then she told me to go be that. Go
Oh,
and
that's
work on
good.
those qualities I'm seeking from someone else. Oh my God.
That is so
now
good.
that is
Yes.
amazing advice.
That's really good, because
That's
a lot of
good.
people ask what they're not willing to give. Like, so I think one of the things I put is establishing boundaries around your relationship.
Okay, so
That's the first. I feel like that's the first thing.
ingredient is
ingredient.
establishing boundaries around your relationship.
Yes.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So, it depends on, number one, is she allowed to have guy friends? Because she may have had guy friends before you came in the picture. And maybe as a guy, you see what she can't see. And this is just my best friend. There's something. Okay, that's what he's saying now. But what I like to say is game recognize game. So a guy can recognize something about your best friend.
Yeah, but it's also a guy can be insecure and say, or they could have done so much in their previous life that they just think that everybody else is the way that they were.
All I said was establish the boundaries.
Establish the boundaries.
I didn't say it was right or wrong.
I'm just saying there's another view to that.
There's definitely two points, 2 points of view when it comes to that. But I think it's healthy to have the conversation before things get out of control.
Okay,
so I think that's one way you can establish boundaries.
What's another
way you can establish a boundary?
Because evidently you got a whole list of them.
I have like 5 of them. All right, so
let me ask you this. So all your boundaries, does this apply to us?
Yeah, I think we definitely, all the ones I put, I kind of took from what I feel like we've done.
Okay.
So the second one is knowing exactly what to share and with whom to share it with.
Okay, talk to
concerning
me.
your relationship.
Oh, okay. Woo.
What to share and who to share it with.
Yes. Like, I think that's so important. I think that, we do need people that we can talk to that understands the dynamics of your relationship. They understand the dynamic of, where you guys are as a couple, and they are attempting not to choose sides, but to maybe help bring clarity and to move towards a solution.
Right.
I think that's very important.
What do you think are some things when it comes to establishing a boundary in a relationship?
Establishing a boundaries.
Or setting you all's boundaries in a relationship.
Yeah, so for me, the first thing is, I don't know no other way but to say it like this, is making your spouse your best friend.
Oh, well, You firecracker. I know what you're about to say.
No, like really making your spouse like your best friend. I don't know if that's really type of a boundary, but the reason why I say that is because it doesn't allow outside sources to have more influence in that relationship than what you guys establish. Because so many times, like I've seen where somebody else's voice may be more weighty.
Mm-hmm.
Than the person that you're in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. So like for instance, when I had got in trouble.
When? Recently?
Yeah. When I had got in trouble.
Big trouble.
I got in big trouble. You know.
Oh my God.
In this relationship.
Bro.
Wait. You can't comment on my trouble.
Okay.
This is part of my testimony.
What if I was a part of the test during your testimony? Can I get free?
No, you can't.
I gotta stay bound.
Yep, bound. Yep.
Okay.
So part of this. So remember, okay, so I made this comment and I'm gonna tell you guys what I said. I'm gonna tell y'all partially what I said.
Yeah, is the filters on?
I said partially what I said. So partially what I was saying is, this person is not going to make me change my mind. Okay. So the reason why I was saying that is because I want you to know that if you haven't influenced me to change my mind, I'm more than likely not going to change my mind because of somebody else's voice. And I say that because I just respect your voice so much. That's the part that I want to put on live.
Cap. Big cap. Cap. Stop the cap.
That's the part I want recorded.
Stop the cap. That's what I didn't understand.
That's the part I want recorded.
That's the part you want recorded? Yeah. That's fine. Listen, y'all, we're gonna release a volume of unedited and raw footage. If you get that volume, you'll hear exactly what the other part. It's gonna be on the couch with Fummies.
Yeah. Okay.
Raw and unedited. But okay, what did you learn from that?
But for real though, like just really
that hurts.
Oh, sorry, honey. Just making sure that your spouse feels as if their voice is weighty in a relationship. Because I've seen where people have allowed their best friends to have, so much to say in the relationship. I've seen where maybe, no shade, where a pastor or leader's voice may. The only way that she gonna submit or he gonna submit
is if she get a revelation at church.
Not that part.
Oh.
Because they need that revelation from church. I'm saying like hearing it from, someone in leadership. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like
that means the person's value.
Yes.
I think I've seen it done as well, and
I know there are times where they can influence.
Well,
but we shouldn't have to always be going to them
100%.
In order to settle something in our household.
Agreed. But I think that it's a level of just accountability, because you would rather have a leader who. Like that, and this is like leaders who you trust, like, have your heart and your intention. I think that it's important to have some level of spiritual accountability if you're trying to handle it with the principles of like righteousness and integrity and different things, because it's in this flesh to avoid the thing. So I think that no, you should not have to go there all the time.
Yeah.
But I do believe that depending on the severity of where one person is versus the other person, that person may need it because you don't know where they're about to do or where they're about to go mentally or whatever. So I think having that reasonable voice to be able to speak from a level of not biased, but let me just deal with, okay, have you looked at it from that perspective? Because what I do know is when emotions get high, ain't nobody trying to hear from nobody's perspective. That's just normal.
Yeah, you're trying to push your own.
You're trying to push your own because you feel like, how is it you can't understand?
Yeah.
You can understand this, but you can't understand that. And that gets aggravating back and forth. Okay. So
what's another boundary?
I think another boundary is making sure that, I would say...
some reason not having it as a person.
I think, like just knowing how you guys want your relation, like for example, when you go out in public, different things that or conversations or something that's talked about just because another couple engages with it, that may be a boundary where you guys don't share that and not being, well, I'm gonna just say this without having the conversation with your partner first, if that was a level of comfortability for them. So for example, it can be like something, a couple can be real free and open about their relationship. Maybe you want to be, but you haven't had the conversation or don't know how yet. Just because you're in the presence of someone or a couple who is, doesn't necessarily warrant the fact that, okay, well, this is my chance, I'm gonna just go for it, because that can be where that person wasn't ready. And now they're like, why would you say that in front? Like, that's a boundary that I feel like we should be able to know what we're gonna talk about or what we're comfortable talking about with whoever.
Oh yes, that's such a catch-22, and the reason why I say that is, oftentimes women, we are a little bit more liberal in our sharing than men are, and so let me finish.
Okay.
So, and what I mean by that is that we'll share things that at times men may not want to share.
Like,
so do you think it's vice versa? You think that more men are more open to share than women?
I wouldn't say more open. I would say, I feel like they have that guy or they may have that homie that they talk with.
No, we're talking about like in the situation, like if we're with another couple.
Oh, no, because I'm different.
And I just think just overall in life, women do share more than men.
Yeah, y'all talk. Y'all
right.
talk more. Yeah.
So
sure.
okay. So what I was saying is that we have to make sure as women that our spouses are comfortable with sharing whatever we may want to share. Because sometimes we may just say, this, and it may be something that the spouse did not want to share. It may be something that they didn't want to talk about. So yeah, just making sure that you have permission to share before just blurting out. Because
What you saying? Yep.
That means that I got to be careful about what I share, huh?
I mean, I just feel like it's you gotta use wisdom, man.
Yeah. Are you saying I'm not wise?
No, I'm saying that you're extremely wise. I think we all fall short.
Okay.
Me too as well.
Okay. Oh yes, buddy. I'm like, I can't believe you about to share that. I'm like, my God.
Me? Come on, man.
I'm like, my God.
No, you know that you're the sharer. Yeah, you share, which is cool. I mean, I'm cool with it because
So can we have like clues or something like that when like if I make
next point?
Okay. Because if I may be sharing something that you don't want to talk about, like if you scratch your ear, pull your ear, pull mine or something.
So that's actually one of my second thing I put for a second ingredient. So number one was establishing boundaries for your relationship.
Okay.
Right? Number two was having an emergency plan.
Okay.
And that is what I feel that you and I have kind of worked on. We're still working on.
Okay.
And what I feel like is, you ever go in a big building and it may not have been a fire in that building ever, but there is a fire evacuation. You are here.
That's true.
And if anything goes wrong, let's say the bottom fall out, run this way, the exit is this way, and that's where or fire extinguisher is here.
That's true.
I think that sometimes because we fail to have an emergency plan for our relationships, we end up in everybody's running around on fire because there wasn't a protocol to handle disagreements.
Man, I mean, that's so wise. That's deep right there.
Yeah.
That's deep because I don't think people think about having a protocol for disagreement.
That's what I'm saying. Establishing a protocol or an emergency plan for disagreements. For example, I know you and I talked.
That's what I was going to say.
You and I talked, and I think we would talk. I think I might have seen on a show or something, but I was like, that was really good. I don't know if it was the show, but the guy was telling his girl, he was like, babe, I'm at pink right now. I'm at a pink flag. She was like, are we at blue? He's like, I'm not at blue, but I'm headed to blue. So because of that, she knew what pink, blue, or red, whatever that meant.
Okay.
And he knew what it meant. And without saying or having to go into more detail that gets you more aggravated because you're already emotionally disturbed.
Okay.
You now is like, hey, I'm at a red, I'm at a blue. So if you know you blue, the only next color is red. Let's just let this chill for a minute.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is something that we fail to do.
Okay.
Because when things are good, we don't think about when things are going to get bad. It's like needing the fire department and not knowing you need them until you have a fire.
Until you have a fire.
And I think that in itself is something that I definitely want to even grow more with you, is just establishing something where it could be a pull on the ear, or it could be,
cold blue,
cold
red,
like,
cold yellow.
You can say something crazy, man. I need to cut my fingernails. And they know exactly what it means.
Yeah, so you guys establish that. Because, like, when I'm in a heated argument, or a disagreement,
woo, boy.
My thing is this: like, I don't care how hot it gets until we get to a resolve or a solution. And so that may mean that we go back and forth, and we may go back and forth for hours. Like, and I want this settled. I'm just the type of person.
No,
anybody else can relate to me.
Cannot
like, I
that.
just want it settled. But now, I'm just telling you, like, but still though, I do be wanting to settle. Like, just go ahead and just argue with me. Like,
I get it.
I just want to argue because I don't want this to linger, because you're going to mess up the rest of my life.
Your life. For the rest of your life.
I'm just saying.
Messed up.
I'm just saying.
That is not true.
But I'm just saying, like, the rest of my day.
Right. I get it. I don't want to sit and be in disturb, because I'll be honest, like, being upset or being like, men, we like a place of peace. We like
it more than y'all think that we do. Y'all just don't do a lot. Y'all want to bring us out of peace. Let me just say this. Men, y'all, spouses, y'all bring us out of peace. And the reason why we don't have peace in our household is not because of our mouth. It's because of what y'all did or didn't do.
It is 1,000% because of the mouth.
It's 1,000% of what you did or did not do.
I'm not going to say that. But all I'm saying is that you have to respect that men don't communicate a lot of times, sometimes the way that women necessarily either like want them to, or in a way where they can understand why he feels that way, or why it doesn't register or whatever. So a lot of times, because there is a barrier, men will just stop talking.
Stop talking. First of all, y'all need to start talking.
Okay, I'm saying that part. I get start talking, yes, but to make a man
usually don't. I mean, like an average man, they usually don't share their emotions. They don't communicate effectively, and then they share half and expect the spouse to already know what the other half is.
Not true.
Perfect example today. Babe, we need to drive 2 cars. Why? Well, never mind. We'll go ahead and drive the same car. And
that's because I didn't feel like going into it.
Perfect. You were being a man.
I already knew it was going to bring up so many more questions.
See, that's what I'm saying. Whatever the reason is, you were being a man. And then when we get there, hours pass by, you was like, okay, I need to do this and do that. I'm like, whoa, when did this happen? Then we should have drove 2 cars. And then you said,
I wanted,
but you didn't give enough information.
But here's the thing. Why do women have to have every freaking detail? The man said, I want to drive 2 cars. All right. That's it.
No, it's not. Really, that's it. Because,
DASSIT. That's it.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, but that ain't it. That ain't it. Because now, why would you ask me to spell something like that? Because, babe, you know I'm not good at spelling.
It's fine, babe. I'll spell it.
But why would you?
DATAIN.
Yeah, why would you bring up something that I shared with you in secret?
Right, come on, not stop. No,
okay.
No,
okay, sorry.
No.
Okay. Okay. But you still don't know how to spell it. So I'm so glad that God sent me a speller. You can spell.
I'm not sure if that really.
You can
I'm
talk
not really sure if
well.
That connects to it,
and then like you so like this, like you mellow in your tone. So sometimes I look over at you and say, "Babe, you say it for me."
Oh my God. No.
Say it in the way. Okay. But
I feel like the level of like communicate. Sometimes I feel like women want more detail than it requires.
Who makes those requirements, sir?
I mean, it's a simple, just all right, cool. I feel like sometimes
Well, I
women
think
they
that's right.
overanalyze.
Okay, so the reason why let's talk about the example that I talked about the car this morning. The reason why is because that changes my plans. My plan was not to drive. And I don't want to drive. I don't like to drive. And then plus, I like being in the car with you. I like reaching over and grabbing your hands. I like looking like in your face. And I like counting your freckles. Like, I like doing stuff like that. So if we don't drive in the same car, how am I going to be able to do all that?
You count my freckles while I drive. I was today years old when I found out you was freckle counting. Okay. While we driving in the car, I didn't know that. Okay, so that's I do know that you like to ride with me. I also do know that you like to co-drive, and that in itself.
So that's probably why I asked for, like, why, babe?
Right. So if you would have just been like, okay, then it wouldn't have been.
I'm probably not gonna say okay because that's gonna make me drive.
Okay. So. Like I was saying, you need an emergency plan.
So where are we right now? Is this yellow, blue, or red?
This is nothing.
Okay, so that even. No. So I was just wondering.
No, but I think that it makes sense to just have those things in place.
Yeah.
And I believe we've been on both sides. We've been on sides where we didn't have it in place.
Yeah.
We've been on sides where we have committed to what we said we were going to do in the midst of that argument. We had a basis of foundation to get back to. And I feel like when we did, we made much better choices in that level of, okay, we can work this out. Even if it's not right now, we'll work it out. Because we already knew the alternative if we hadn't, this makes it crazy.
So what I'm learning and what I've learned from being in this relationship is that, everything doesn't have to be settled in that moment. Like there are times where you need to take a breather. There are times where you need to come back and revisit, try to handle it again. And then in the midst of that, if it's still not handled, we need to take another breather. Like, we don't have to settle everything in that moment. So I'm learning to be okay with that.
All right. And I have another one.
My God, pull them all out.
I only got 5. This is number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 was having a no judgment zone. For us, it's raw thought.
Yeah, so
I think that is pivotal.
That is pivotal. Yeah. So raw thought. So this gives us an opportunity to share something that is very truthful, that may hurt the other person's feeling. It may contradict maybe something that has been said. Raw thoughts give us the liberty basically of expressing ourselves or saying whatever that we want to say without the other person basically penalizing us for what we're about to share, if that makes sense. And it can be regarding anything. Right. It can be regarding your children, or it can be regarding family. It can be regarding your spouse. Even if you wanted to say, you know what, babe, when you did this, raw thought, okay, this made me feel like that. So when I'm saying raw thought, it's putting that person on alert that I'm about to say something that has the possibility of stinging, has the possibility of hurting your feelings. And what it does for the other person is it alerts them and it allows them
to shift their emotions before it comes out. And when we say raw thought, we'll look at each other to get permission to move forward with our thoughts. So I'll say, baby, you made me feel raw thought. Yeah.
And then when he say then that means that he's already braced himself. And now I get to share. And so we use it for everything. Like, I mean, it can be regarding sex. Like, and he may say, hey, babe, how was that? Raw thought?
Wait a minute. No, not at all. Because that means that it's a sting that's about to come. No. Like, what do you mean? I don't know. What you talking about?
I just had thought that in my
Really?
I just say raw thought. I had to see your facial expression.
Okay, raw thought.
No, I'm not receiving it.
So I can't say raw thought?
No, I'm not giving you permission to say.
You're not giving me permission to say it.
No.
Okay.
Not with raw thought. Raw thought, you get permission. So no permission.
All right, cool. I mean, hey, I respect it, you know. So, but I do believe that helps in developing that best friendship.
Man, that has helped
because what is a best friend? I asked her one time. I said, what constitutes a best friend?
Yeah.
And I told her what a best friend meant to me was you don't always say stuff that makes sense to your best friend. You
That's
run
true.
random thoughts across your best friend because there's such a level of comfortability that depending on how long y'all. Matter of fact, I think this is okay. Big Mike, this is my friend from college.
Okay.
Me and him were roommates. I don't know what's up, Big Mike. And me and him were roommates, and we met when we went down to everybody go to visit the college. We met, we roomed up together. We've been best friends since we've been one of my good friends since about 2007, I think.
Okay.
So he's known me that long. There's such a level of comfortability that I have that I don't even have to say raw thought, nothing. I can just call it and we can just go and talk.
Yeah,
but
it just comes
that
out.
was built, and that constitutes what I feel like is a best friend. When sometimes I feel like couples get together and be like, oh, that's my best friend. It's only your best friend when y'all are good. And when y'all are upset, I get it because you can be mad at your best friend, but there's a level where you always are like, man, that was on me, or there's a level of coming back. I feel like sometimes because there is no level of, or I can't always say what's on my mind without hurting her feelings or without him feeling sensitive. Let me hold that in because I don't know how. If you don't have that, you're going to tell that thought to someone. Or the thought's going to come out in an action because you're just going to end up snapping and doing something that's out of character. Why? Because you've been forced to suppress all of these random thoughts or questions that you may have about. And what I feel like sometimes is if you don't have that no judgment zone, you don't give that person space to evolve.
Man, I think for real though, that's what's missing in relationships.
Yeah.
I remember just talking with a couple and she felt like her spouse was basically perfect because her spouse hadn't shared any shortcomings, any unspoken thoughts, hadn't seen the spouse do anything, just felt like the spouse was just perfect. And in reality, we know that that's not true.
Right.
So that means that other person have not found a way to express themselves openly. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this opened up the door. It's a trap of the enemy to be married to. It's a trap of the enemy to be married to somebody.
What was that?
It's this baby shirt, Aubrey shirt I got on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
To be married to someone.
Yeah. To be married to someone that you cannot share your true feelings with. Man,
Look,
I mean, it is trouble in the house when you have to pick up the phone and share those thoughts with somebody outside of your house versus somebody that's in your house. Like that right there, like that's an issue. That's a problem for me.
I feel like that was one thing that really made us even comfortable with the idea of marrying one another.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything left on the table.
Yeah, by the time we got married.
Because you just had a vibe that I mess with.
Do I still got that vibe, babe? Do I still got that vibe?
You got it.
Did you say twice?
No, I said no. I mean, but see, but listen. That's why sometimes it's hard though for a man or a woman because once you cross that threshold into wife and husband, or into girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, there is a level of sometimes I gotta always be on.
Be on what?
Be on point. Be on.
I don't think so, but that's when you have your best friend. So I remember.
Yeah, but what happens when the best friend in your spouse or your partner uses the best friend information against the husband, or uses the best friend information against the spouse in a heated argument or emotional moment?
I think that's just immaturity given, and the relationship needs to evolve a little bit more. I remember like a few times I've heard you say, like, you have called forth who you needed in me.
Oh,
At
I
that
got
time.
to.
Like for instance, you'll say, "Hey, am I talking to the homie right now?" And so, like, if you say, "Hey, I'm talking to the homie," I know that my response to you is not going to be that of a wife.
Right.
I'm gonna talk to you in that homie. Like I like those.
Right. I mean,
when me and my homie, when me and my best friend, when we hang.
listen. When I get with my homies or my best friend, we cutting up. The first thing we gotta do is we gotta cut up. We gotta cut up. And I feel like that vibe sometimes is like that. Sometimes I feel like digs a deeper foundation of love. Sometimes than even how you view as a husband or a spouse, because it's like, man, that's my confidant. That's my road dog.
Yeah.
You know, that's like. And once you get to that point, I'm eager as a husband to fix whatever between my wife so I can get back to getting my best friend.
That is so true, because I remember when we had went through a disagreement, since we are best friends, you feel like when you're not talking to your, like...
Don't do it like that.
When you're not talking to your best friend, you feel like you ain't got nobody. Like, it's
right.
like, man, like the moment, like the moments when you're about to, let me call him, you know what, I done forgot I'm mad,
Right.
Like,
and then it's like, who got that level of energy? Like, I don't want that level of energy, because it may be something that you be like, man, I'm feeling...
And then we're like, you know what?
Right. So, in that point, where I feel like once you build that level of that no judgment, sort of raw thought zone, that best friend zone, it can take a sometimes disastrous situation and make whoever was wrong or whatever, like, hey man, can we just get over this?
Can we just get over
I gotta
this?
get back to my home.
Like I gotta get back to my friend.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what up? I gotta get back to my home.
Yes.
So that's how I feel about it. And because I want that and I make sure I call on that, like when I need it, like I don't always want to, there's so many different facets, I feel like, of a husband or a partner, provider, boyfriend, whatever. And same for a woman, that you got the homemaker, you got the provider, you have this, you guys have to show up here, you have your career, you have this. Like at some point, the man may want to come home and just lay down, just talk. That's why some guys end up being on the phone and the women be in there on the phone with they just in there talking about nothing. Hey man, she in there cackling. I don't even know what they talk. Because I just want to just talk about really nothing too much important and just talk about whatever with my best friend. When you don't have that level of freedom or that level of space in a relationship, it creates somebody's going to feel that for you. And when somebody feels it for you, that's where I feel like we're getting what we're talking about, where the weight of the weight of the voice may be different, because now you respect the best friend because that's a trusted zone.
Yes.
So I think that's number 3 for me. Like we gotta have a no judgment.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4. Ooh, which one was it? Oh, hold up.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I can. Wait.
Oh my God.
Okay. And okay. Yep. Got it.
Oh my God. Told you.
Sorry. Okay. So, all right. So number 4 is, I feel like, and this is just me.
Okay.
And this is what I feel like for your relationship.
Okay.
It has to have
a few minutes.
A centered ground of faith that we both believe. It can be different levels. Let me explain to it. We have to have a centered foundation of faith or belief.
Let's talk about it.
So let's talk about it. For example, you could have, I don't know if it would be beneficial for someone who believes in something else or a different God or a different system or whatever to link up with something or someone that has a different view on their level of faith or belief or morality when it comes to their spiritual. Because I think that it's okay in the beginning and it's kind of all right. But when trouble comes, 9 times out of 10, people lean on that level of spirituality to get them through. If there is a vast difference in beliefs, there's going to be different systems that they're using that will never, I feel like, bring it back to where we can see it from the same aspect. Even if we don't agree, we still both believe in this same spiritual like foundation.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's almost like having someone, being in a relationship with someone who's a believer and someone who's a non-believer.
But I do believe that can work.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it can't work, but what happens is that you'll have this person talk about operating a lot, probably more so in faith than this person. So this person will, and I've seen this happen, rely more so on realistic reality. This person is relying more on faith, and that can be a huge conflict.
Oh, man.
So not saying that it can't work, but isn't this where the Bible said not to be unequally yoked? Will you consider that unequally yoked? Belief systems?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that I've learned about that is it doesn't have to be, you may have different levels.
Yeah.
You know, someone
Levels
may
of
have
faith, yeah.
levels of faith, but let's agree that we believe in that same cornerstone and foundation of faith.
Gotcha.
You know, one of the things when I previously dated, one of the things that I made sure of is that everyone knew my faith. Plus I was a musician, so I was always going to church. But I always knew
Going to church don't
right. But the way I talk, people
because I know people who I met this guy who's a Christian believer, but he was playing at another
that don't really matter to a certain degree. Like you can have a musician that played for a 7-day Adventist and he believed Pentecostal, non-Pentecostal play for a Baptist play for that's a skill. They don't tie that to faith. So the reason I say I always going to church is because like I was a musician, but I always talked about my faith.
Okay, gotcha.
So most people did. Most people, you know, when I was dating, they knew it. But there was a certain level of when I would hear something about, you know, oh, well, I don't really believe in that. You know, I believe, or they would go in what they believed. I knew then we was only going to a certain point.
Yeah, because you already heard the limitations and restrictions.
I already knew it. And now I would, depending on how cool, I'm not saying I judge them, but as a person in building a foundation moving forward, there was no way that I feel like it would have worked just because how strong I believe in my faith. So I think that having that is important. Now, at the same time, you know, I know a couple who both of them believe, both of them grew up, and one was just, you know, out there, heathen. And the other one was faithful, going to church, and their love for them saved that person. So I do see how it worked that way. But the seed of faith was always in the other person as well. Exactly. So I think asking deeper questions about spirituality is very important before you cross the threshold to say you want to build a life with someone.
That's so true. What's your number 5? Your 5th one?
That was my 5th one. I think
that was your 4th.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, go back to your notes.
Oops. Hold on, guys. I'm almost. Oh, this is the juicy one. This is a good one.
Okay.
You ready?
This is your last one. What?
This is the last one?
Yes.
Okay. Number 1 is the 5th one is a healthy sex life. Gotta have a healthy sex life. I feel like if you don't, I just feel like when it comes to we just said healthy sex and you acting depressed. Is there something? What's up?
Am I acting depressed?
Oh, you just like,
baby, that wasn't no depressed. You don't even know what depressed look like then. If you
let me know something.
No, so what I was saying is, I just feel like there needs to be a conversation around this, even as time evolves in a relationship, because things change, desires change, body change, mood change, like hormones, all this stuff change. I just think that it needs to have, just create a relationship where you can openly discuss with your spouse what's happening. Because sometimes, it can be difficult even talking to your best friend about changes in your body body that you don't even understand yet. Like you go to the doctor and the doctor tell you something that you weren't even expecting. Like what? And now you gotta go and share that with your spouse. Like
Yeah.
so I would just say talking to your spouse about the whole sexual and body changes and the reason why I say that is because I do feel like sex is important in a relationship. Don't get me wrong, because you already know how I feel. But I do know as you get older, things change like in your body. There are things that happen. I almost spoke in tongue, it won't happen for you. Share by soil. Like it won't happen. But like as you get older, think like they're like
You'll tell my ear.
no. What I was just saying, like like I've counseled someone before,
Okay.
and like they couldn't get up.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
Really?
at a certain age, and sometimes that's tied to health. That's
Sometimes
tied to
that's tied-
stress.
yeah.
All of that stuff. So all I'm saying
That's tough.
is, all I'm saying is, regarding this healthy sex life, conversation is going to be communication is going to be.
It's pivotal. I think communication is pivotal when it comes to. That's why I didn't put a great sex life.
Yeah.
Like you can have great sex.
Yeah.
But a healthy sex life involves communication outside of the act.
Exactly. And also, I feel like this, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, you need to be able to communicate with your spouse your desires. Like,
That's so
especially
true.
when the Bible said that the bedroom is undefiled. I'm not going to allow anybody to define what our sex life should be. Because the Bible said that if we feel like it's right to do, then we'll have to make a broadcast about it. But I just feel like we should be able to communicate with each other
100%
about our desires and.
I think that just starting the sometimes people are nervous. They think the worst when the conversation starts, so they shut down before they get into the conversation.
Man.
Because they expect the worst, that they may bring up something about, I like a desire or something like that. And if they're like in their mind, who you been talking to? Where that like
Man.
you don't, maybe he wanted to just talk to you about it, or vice versa. She wanted to talk to you about it. And if I feel like if you shut down because you're automatically thinking the worst, then you just let whatever that person was trying to explain, that just festers, and guess what? It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It just builds
Yeah.
to a point to where eventually, and how the enemy will do, in a conversation or something, they'll end up talking to someone else about it and then getting their opinion and trying to use their opinion for their own relationship because they don't know how to communicate it because that person's already shut them down.
Man, let me say this, you guys.
You drank all my water.
No, just because your spouse may have a desire that you don't desire doesn't mean that it's bad because they have that desire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, like in that same scenario, if you were to come to me and say, hey, I want to try this. And then if I say, well, what are you talking about? Like, what like, I'm making it bad because it's something, because it wasn't my desire. Like, that's not fair.
That's true.
That's not fair to you. I just feel like open communication, a discussion, being open-minded, talking back and forth, and you guys make a decision together with an open mind as to how you're going to move forward with this.
But I feel like that's one thing that is the most important, is that's why you have to identify that level of what healthy communication is with you and your spouse. That's why I feel like it's important to create that best friend zone. That's why I feel like it's important to establish the boundary. That's why I feel like it's important to have the emergency plan, like all of these things that identify this healthy relationship. Because if I can have that, I'll never look at what that person is saying or doing as something like this, because you don't judge best friend. Mm-hmm. You accept them for who they are.
That's right.
And I think if we can understand that when we have signed up together, when it says husband, wife, marriage till death do us part, I need all of those in one. Because you may not be able to fulfill each part to its capacity, but at least let me have a percentage of each thing in you that I don't have to find 100% in something else.
That's good. I respect that. I respect that. I'm so glad that you gave these 5 pointers for a healthy relationship, because I even know how to, just move forward in our relationship. So I thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
and so you guys, I hope that you have enjoyed tonight with On the Couch with the Funbies.
We
look forward to seeing you guys at Propheticon 4.0. We're going to actually do this live as well. And so we'll have an opportunity to invite other people on the couch with us. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
it's gonna be pretty dope.
Gonna be amazing.
Because I've been ready to get other folks involved in some of these conversations.
Listen, people have been trying to get in this on your thing. They've been putting requests and trying to get in, like
maybe
on live and stuff. I think some people put on here.
Maybe we'll be able to bring somebody in.
Possibly.
Let's see.
But appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you all soon.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.